Get started. I go to codt.netlify.app. So font size is good, and let's change this to a dark theme. Let's start with the markup, the HTML markup. So I'm going to call it navigation. So a div with a class navigation. I put an unordered list. Li, let's call it home. The other one, let's call it products and services perhaps, and then let's call the other one. You can add as many as you want, but for the purpose of this tutorial I'm going to add 3. So we have our navigation. We need to just go ahead and style it. I'm going to choose SCSS, much easier and faster. So I'm going to say navigation here, and then let's put UL. Let's remove the bullet points, list style none. Let's have it all horizontally aligned. So we're going to change the display to inline flex, and there we go. Let's add a gap of maybe 30 pixel. Let's change the font size so that they're bigger. Let's say 30 pixel, and then let's add more gap here. You know, UL originally has a margin and a padding, so I'm going to set them to 0 as well. So now we have our navigation ready, and then you know, I can add Li some padding here. Let's say 10 pixel top and bottom, and then maybe 20 pixel left and right. So now we have this navigation. We're all set. Now in order to achieve this, obviously, you know, this is, even though it feels like it's the background for this and then background for this, it's actually a separate element because it should be able to move freely within our navigation, but consider the width, height, and position of each of these navigational links. So what I'm going to do is, in my markup, I'm going to add a new, let's say, span, and I give it a class called navbg. So now we're going to style this. Going back here in my navigation, I'm going to say navbg. Let's give it a position absolute because we want to move it freely within our navigation. So for that, I want to set the position to be relative in my navigation. And now here I want to say the top want to be 0, the left to be 0. Let's give it a width so we can actually see it. Width, height, let's say 40 pixels. And then let's say we give it a background color of EEE, and then there you go. So we actually can see it. Now what I want to do, since it's position absolute, I can give it a Z index of -1. So now it ends up behind this. So now we know we have it. Maybe let's change it to CCC. We can see it better in the screen. Now, initially, we're gonna go ahead and say we want the home to be selected. So class selected. And now, based on this, we want to initially move this background so that it's pretty much behind the home, the way we want it. I'm gonna put the border radius to maybe 50 pixel so that it's nice and rounded. Now let's go to our JavaScript because we cannot achieve this without JavaScript. So let's get a handle to the selected. So document.query, maybe I can make it a bit bigger here, document.query selector, and then we know we have the navigation, and then it's called selected. I can prefix this with li as well to make it more readable. We know now what element has the selected one, and then I want to have the same thing. Let's get this and call it navbg. That would be this gray background. So here we're going to say navigation, and it's a navbg, like this. Now what we want to do initially is we're going to get the position of this home, width and height of it, and basically put this in that position as well. To be able to do that, I can say navbg.style.width is going to be my selected offset width. So in JavaScript, offset width represents the width of the element, but I need to add a pixel to it. And then I can do the same thing with the height. So I'm just going to say height, and then here height as well. And now you can see, and also at the end of the day, I want to give it a the correct placement or position as well. So I'm just going to say navbg style transform. So it's going to be translate, and then translate x on the x-axis based on the left side of this selected, right? So I can create a new variable called selected left, and then I would say selected dot offset left. And also I can do the same thing with the top. So I can say top and offset top here. I can add the pixel right over here as well. So we add the pixels here, and then I can use the string interpolation to actually add these. So I have selected left, and then I can do translate y to be also selected top, right? So now it's pretty much put behind this. I can add to the li, I can add cursor pointer, or you can use anything here instead of li, or within the li you can put like a link, like a tag. So now you can see that now we're supposed to click on each of these, and then this needs to be moved, right? So to be able to do that, I can say document.query selector all. So I'm selecting all the LIs. So let's say navigation LI dot for each. So for each of those, and I can pass it as a link. Then I want to add a event listener to this called click. And then when click happens, I fix this. So when the click happens, I want to actually pretty much do this, right? So I can copy these and then paste them here, as you can see. And then instead of selected, I can use link here. So link, 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 link. And then you can see that when I click on this, is actually putting in the correct place, but also correct width of the navigational link that is selected here, right? Pretty cool, huh? Now what we want to do is add the transition between them. So initially when the page loads, we don't want to have any transition, right? Because let me show you. I can put this, like we have this will change property that I can say what it's going to change in terms of transition. So it's going to be width, height, and then transform. And then I can say transition, I can say 0.3 seconds maybe. Now you can see that it actually starts working pretty nicely, but you know, I'm trying to replicate a refresh or initial load. You can see we still have this animation before that. So to be able to fix that, let's just move this into another class. So initially we're not going to apply it. So I'm just going to say has transition, and then I put those there. Now as you can see, now we don't have it because we're not applying it yet. But if I come here and let's say I do navbg.classlist.add and I say has transition, you can see that initially as you can see there is no animation happening here, but the moment I click you can see it's already added after initially we set it. Now that we have the has transition, it actually works perfectly fine. Great. You know, you can clean the code a little bit. You can put this into a function called initialize perhaps, and then put it there, and then call this function at the end like initialize, and you're going to get the same effect as you can see here. right? So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please ask any questions, any concerns in the comment section. Please also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. This really helps me being able to create these tutorials. You know, my plan is at the end, I'm gonna get all of these elements and I'm gonna put them all in a website, make it so that you can use it with different sorts of frameworks like React and everything. If you want to learn React or have any question about React, you can also send me a question in the channel and I will try my best to answer that. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I wish you a very good day and night wherever you are, and see you next time. Goodbye.